live in Poland, of course you heard about the massive pro-abortion protests that have been happening across the country since the 23rd of October. If you're not in Poland, here's the deal. On Thursday, 22nd of October, 2020, Poland's Constitutional Tribunal Court ruled that abortion due to birth defects is unconstitutional. These type of abortions account for about 98% of all abortions performed in Poland. And so this means that Poland has one of the most restrictive abortion laws in Europe, as abortion is now basically illegal, except in cases of rape or if the mother's health is threatened. I'm going to be very clear. This is about politics, and the church getting to decide when the state gets to control women's bodies. The judge who issued that October 22nd ruling, she was appointed by Andrzej Duda, Poland's president and member of Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, PiS for short, Poland's right-wing ruling party. The party is called PiS because I sound like E's in Polish. PiS is truth and justice in English, which isn't at all a fashy-sounding name. The court is allegedly independent, except that the judge I mentioned is a close associate of Jarosław Kaczynski, the head of PiS. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the massive protests that have been happening in Poland over the last 2 weeks, which are said to be the largest since the fall of communism in 1989. I'm also going to try and teach you how to swear in Polish and try to look at the reasons behind these protests are happening. But first, I have some questions. If PiS cares so much about life, why is NFZ, Poland's national healthcare system, so fucked up? Anyone who lives in Poland knows how long the waits can be to receive treatments, only made worse by COVID. If PiS cares so much about children's lives, why did public schools reopen in Poland this fall, only to start going online weeks later as COVID cases spiked? You know, it's not like PiS tried to pass a similar law 4 years ago and was met with a nationwide protest called Czarny Protest, the women's strike, that was ultimately successful in convincing the ruling party to back down. Oh wait, that is totally a thing that happened. To make things more interesting, the state-funded TV stations are spreading lies about leftist extremists destroying Poland and how the symbols the protesters use, like the red lightning bolt, are Nazi symbols. Now, when PiS says that the left is destroying Poland, do they mean that the left has control of the Polish government and media and has allowed religion, aka Catholicism, to be taught in public schools? And now the government is threatening to stop any speech that they disagree with? Except that's not the left, that's PiS. And don't talk about the no true Scotsman argument that all Poles are Catholic, and if you're not Catholic the exact same way that the government is Catholic, therefore you're not a real Pole. And I do mean the exact same way that the government is Catholic. It's not like the Archbishop of Krakow publicly walked back his statements about LGBT people being worse than communism after the Pope publicly voiced support for same-sex unions recently. And sure, let's just pretend that all the people living in Poland before Catholicism got here just don't count. And while we're at it, let's just hand-wave the long history of Jewish people in Poland. And for good measure, let's just forget about any shared heritage and history that Poland and Ukraine have. Because FYI, Ukrainians aren't Catholic. I'm not going to deny how important faith is to many Poles. However, faith is something separate from church hierarchy. Keep this in mind. Some background. All Polish people know how important a figure John Paul II is. Born Karol Józef Wojtyła, his role as a spiritual leader to important figures in Poland's protest, such as Lech Wałęsa, is credited with giving Poles the courage to start protesting against the Soviet regime in the 70s and 80s. To me, Poland has let John Paul II's role in encouraging peaceful anti-Soviet protests, which did lead to the fall of communism, turn the Catholic Church into a more important figure than Jesus or God for many Poles. Which brings me back to PiS, which is super friendly with the Catholic Church. This is not about morals. This is about a political party trying to consolidate its power by pretending to be moral. And maybe the Catholic Church isn't the best one to be talking about morals in the first place. It's not like the Catholic Church has ever had a different opinion about abortion over the centuries. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a message. says here that the Catholic Church has changed its position on abortion over the centuries and has not always been consistent about when a fetus supposedly gets a soul. But it's not like the Catholic Church has ever weaponized grief about stillbirths, right? Oh, hang on, I'm getting another message. Oh, right. Indulgences for stillbirths and unbaptized infants. And it's not like the Catholic Church didn't take much of an interest in birth control until the shrinking size of Catholic families led the Pope to take a public stance against birth control, right? Shockingly, I'm getting another message. What do you know? And it's not like the Catholic Church might be out of step with the actual birth control practice of real Catholics, right? Oh, hang on, I'm getting yet another message. Huh. The average number of children for Catholic families has fallen in many countries over the years. Maybe they're just having less sex and praying more. I am so tired of men deciding how and when women get treated like people, or the questions about personhood or souls, which belong to philosophers, not in the hospital. I don't know when the human egg and sperm start to get a soul, and neither do you. But I do know that women have souls. I mean, it's not like the Catholic Church has ever questioned if women have souls, right? Oh, seriously? Don't dress it up with talk about innocence or souls or tradition. I'm not going down this rabbit hole. The Bible does not explicitly say, thou shalt not use birth control or have an abortion. And it doesn't matter what the Bible says anyway. One, I don't think that an ancient, messy collection of essays and stories that have been translated and retranslated in a countless language, countless times, should be the basis for our understanding about women's health. You know, I'd like to think we've made some progress on the field of health and medicine in the past 2,000 years. And so no, I don't give a fuck what some man writing in ancient Aramaic might have thought about condoms or third trimester abortions. 2, using any religious book, including the Bible, to make healthcare and public policy is a terrible idea. Separation of church and state, anyone? This is not about saving baby souls. This is about controlling women. It always has been. The proof? Watch how right-wing men react when women get more rights over their bodies or start organizing for more rights. I've seen the look in men's eyes, that angry look when they start talking about women having abortions. Like, how dare they? Men like my Trump-supporting father. Men like my abusive ex-boyfriend. These nationalists attacking women in front of a church. These attacks didn't happen in isolation. The head of peace, Kaczynski, directly encouraged it, telling people to protect churches after protests reached into churches on Sunday, 24th of October. This is not the only time nationalists and football hooligans have attacked the women protesting peacefully in the past week. I'm sorry, I'm a foreigner in this country. Can someone please tell me what tradition these men are trying to protect? You want to accuse me of cherry-picking these facts about religion? Or trying to conflate the issues of birth control and abortion? Fine, let's do this. Let's take a nice, long, scholarly look at how religion affects women's health, with citations, footnotes, all that jazz. Midwives, who were traditionally women in Europe for centuries, are the ones who helped ensure healthy deliveries and birth. When the church got involved, it asked midwives to report any suspicion of abortion or induced labor, which leads us to a tangled web of accusations about witchcraft and midwifery. When the field of medicine became professionalized in the 17th century, with universities and training, women were not allowed to join, of course. And do you think that men wanted to use the long tradition of institutionalized knowledge countless women had passed down on safe birthing practices? Yeah, right. For too long, the painful realities of pregnancy have been kept secret, hidden. Fertility issues, miscarriages, stillbirths, infants born with severe birth defects. All of these things women have talked about in private, and something that some men tended to blame women for. Henry VIII, anyone? The uniqueness of model Chrissy Teigen sharing her photos and story about her miscarriage recently highlights this. For too long, pregnancy and birth complications haven't been something talked about much in society, outside of doctors' offices and women comforting one another. This is a complicated subject. Sometimes pregnancies threaten the woman's health. Sometimes difficult decisions need to be made to terminate a wanted pregnancy in the third trimester. Sometimes women don't want to be pregnant. All of these are valid reasons to have abortions. This conversation about abortion, birth control, and women's health needs to stop dealing with religion, because I haven't heard any religious argument that takes the issues of women's health and bodily autonomy seriously. I think that if even one woman dies from the results of the church's hang-ups about sex and pregnancy, that is one woman too many. Don't pretend that nothing bad happens when the Bible, or any religion, influences doctors. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a message. Oh, a lot of messages. Look, scripture is not healthcare. Now, let's take a look at the good stuff, the protests themselves. The first protest started on Friday, the 23rd of October, the day after the abortion ruling went public. Because of Poland's restrictions on public gatherings, the events, like the one I was in, which was in front of the train station, were technically illegal. When too many people gathered for the standing protest, the police ordered us to leave. And so it turned into a march. People walking from the train station to Ostrowtumskie, Cathedral Islands in English. Police cars trailed us, playing recordings warning us about the dangers of the pandemic and that our march was technically illegal. When we reached the church, 2 slogans were chanted. Zapraszamy wypierdalać, which I just love. We invite you to go fuck yourselves. Starting off polite, then getting serious. The other chant I heard that day has become the national rallying cry, Jebać peace. My favorite use of this has been a remix of people chanting this mashed up with the song Call on Me. Okay, a note on Polish swear words, which are numerous. Both jebać and pierdalać are verbs that mean to fuck, but jebać is a stronger word. Pierdolę is the noun, just meaning fuck. Other slogans I've heard, myślę, czuję, decyduję, which means I think, I feel, I decide. And a great one has been, rewolucja jest kobietą, meaning the revolution is a woman. Back to the protests. They continued over that weekend, building momentum. After huge demonstrations in cities on Friday and Saturday, the protesters got more daring, going into churches on Sunday. This is so brave. Direct action like this, to walk into a church and really challenge the people who spread lies and enforce this BS moral code, is amazing. I also think that this type of direct action might have been inspired by queer anarchist group Stop Bzdurom, which most notably ripped signs off trucks blaring lies about gays causing pedophilia this past summer. I took part in a citywide march on Wednesday, October 28th. Universities gave students the day off and offered students free legal advice if they had issues with police, and so many people marching were young students. It started in the afternoon and just kept going all evening. Multiple marches and demonstrations happening, and I was amazed to see how many people of all ages taking part. For example, the bike ride demonstration I was in had a lot of families and young children. The aim of these marches has been to shut cities down, and they've succeeded. Look at these amazing pictures of Warsaw from above. Look at all those people. Taking part in these marches has been incredible. People cheering from balconies, people in their cars honking horns and waving black umbrellas, a symbol of the Charney protest from 4 years ago. I've seen older folks, families with children, foreigners, and expats taking part. While it's been beautiful to hear protest chants led by all women, it's been so gratifying to see young Polish men holding signs about feminism and carrying clothes hangers. On Wednesday's march, I saw a man with a rainbow mask and a sign that said, Das siostry będą bronię, which means, I will defend our sisters. While queer anarchist protests from this summer may have paved the way for what's happening now, these pro-abortion marches have widespread support. From miners, farmers, and taxi drivers, to so many small businesses with lightning bolt signs in the windows, to people in corporate offices and banks hanging out the windows cheering the marchers on. Heck, my neighborhood Jabka was playing Bella Ciao on repeat on Wednesday. What I love about this movement is how DIY it is. The symbol, the red lightning bolt, is easy to draw and paint on just about everything. From protest signs, to jackets, to masks, to makeup tutorials on TikTok, to women getting their nails done with this design. This protest has brought out a creative, crafty side. And it's still happening. Every day, in cities across this country, people have been organizing, and the movement shows no sign of stopping. If anything, it's getting bigger, as different groups across Poland pledge their support, as more and more businesses put women's strike signs in their windows. Opinion polls show public support of peace is dropping. In a way, this reminds me of what happened with the Black Lives Matter marches this summer in the United States, as marginalized groups got tired of waiting for society to listen to them. To me, this looks like a major shift in Polish society, one that is embracing more lefty ideals and breaking with some traditions. The ruling party can claim that this is just the work of some violent leftists, but the pictures tell the truth. Hundreds of thousands in cities, millions across Poland support this. And the only violence? From the nationalists that peace has long supported. I'm happy that people are finally recognizing peace for what they really are, a group of aging men trying to hang on to power by enforcing outdated tradition. Even their complaints about mass gatherings during a pandemic ring hollow. This past summer, during the presidential campaign, Peace Party members talked about COVID like it was almost over. I mean, a few weeks ago, I was wearing this when I taught in a Polish public school. If peace really cared so much about making sure crowds didn't gather during a pandemic, maybe they'd make a big announcement about All Saints' Day, well in advance to make sure people had enough time to plan and make alternate arrangements, and not wait until 2 days before the big holiday, leading to a mass rush of people in exactly 4 hours on Saturday jamming into all the cemeteries. I don't think you need to be able to read Polish to know that's exactly what happened. Of all the time I've lived in Poland, I think this is one of the most exciting times. And Poland, I'm so glad that I'm a part of this. This is so exciting to see real social change happening. And I really hope this momentum keeps going forward and that Poland can see some real lasting change. If you are in Poland and you need, or someone you know needs to get an abortion, I've included some links in the video description to groups that help women do that. Thank you so much for watching. We're on social media, so do that thing. Like, share, subscribe. Leave me a good comment. Unless you're a nationalist, because I have no patience. If anyone tries arguing with me in the comments, you're done. Bye.